Hello everybody, welcome to Red Tool House. Yes, this is proof of life. We are alive. Say hi, Kelly.
Hi, Kelly.
So, before we get into the topic, we just wanted to say thank you so much to all you guys that were wishing us well and praying for us, as all four of us had contracted COVID. And Kelly and the boys did quite well with it. It kicked my butt pretty good. So my lungs are getting back into shape, and I'm getting my energy back. So again, we appreciate all the well wishes and the prayers. All right, well today we are going to try to get back in the swing of things. You can see here the Coop De Ville, which I've really been happy with how this coop has worked out for us this year. And I've got it up here on our south facing side. We're actually just across from the house. So this gives us good access to sun, keeps the chickens out of the cold, dark valley. And but we're going to move it. I moved it here right before I got sick, and it was only supposed to be here a couple days because this is areas that we mow. It's not a lot of good grass, and so it was only supposed to be here a couple days. It's now been almost 3 weeks, so we got to get it moved. But Kelly and I had an idea. We're going to see about parking it maybe in a permanent winter position back here in the garden below the chicken church. So we'll kind of have two different zones here. But we'll show you what we've got going on. So once we get the chicken church flock in place, their run's going to stop here at this cut. And that's where we're going to have the overburden of the compost, and the manure, and hopefully all that coming down to collect. And we'll have large collection bins here. So in our actual garden space, this is a cut I'm standing in that we didn't plant anything this year. In the old garden space, we want to back in the Coop De Ville here, and we'll take all of our trellising down, pull this fence back, and put our poultry netting up, and let the chickens have range in here to be able to obviously manure and scratch and do all those type of things. But what we got to do is be careful and set up the poultry netting so it doesn't get over into some of the perennials that we have that obviously the chickens will dig up, and those are mostly in our raised beds. We need to identify first and foremost where are perennials that we don't want the chickens to be in. Are there anything other than raised bed stuff? Because I was thinking it was all raised bed.
Yeah, just the raised beds would be what we would want to keep them out of there.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Well, that'll be easy. So let's plan on.
They'll get to the comfrey, but that'll be okay.
Yeah, comfrey will be fine. It'll come back. So what we need to do is pick a spot where we're going to put all of our trellising and our T-posts. Like we could decide to lean it up against that fence if we wanted to. And then, Cameron, I'll probably have you help me. We need to pull this fence back and pull these posts out. The two wooden posts and the T-posts. And then we'll roll it all up in the back corner there. And then should be able to move the Coop De Ville here.
Okay.
We'll just back it in right in this spot.
Perfect.
And they'll take our poultry netting and use it. And that way we can augment the shape from time to time. And that'll keep them out of our raised beds, but also allow them to just scratch all this stuff up really nice.
Okay.
All right, so we were able to get all of our fencing down, all our trellising. Some dummy buried a lot of chicken wire with an excavator 2 years ago, so we had to muscle that out, use the winch on the side-by-side to jerk some of that out. It's along here, I'll switch. It's our transition line you see there. And there's still a little bit of that chicken wire that rotted off and broke off in the ground, so I think what we're going to rely on is our chickens. They love to dig stuff up constantly. So we'll let them just wear on that all winter long and come through and just pick up those scrap pieces. Yeah. I think that'll get it out of there. Yeah. So this is something we wanted to do last year because we did our cut 2 years ago and we wanted to expand the garden over, and this year's garden season was, how would you describe it?
Non-existent.
Yeah, it was a train wreck because of the fencing issues, and with the new cut, not anticipating the deer jumping the fence as easily as they did, they wiped us out before we could get a plan in place. So this is a year in the making, and
that's okay because I call that my year of rest because
yes, exactly.
We didn't have all of the afterward canning and preserving, yes. So that was okay. It was a much needed year of rest, and this year we're going to hit it strong, hopefully.
It's our 7th year leaving the field fallow.
That's right.
Yeah. So what we'll do, obviously we can't move the chickens during the daylight because they're out walking around, so we'll lock them up tonight at dark once they get on the roost, and then in the morning before we go to church we'll move them over and set up the poultry netting. And the good thing about this, let me turn around here, is the poultry netting is not going to cover this entire area, of course, so we'll be able to move it around. And then even right here, what I consider the heart of the garden, where the raised beds are, all my elderberry, Kelly's herbs and stuff, then I can even put the poultry netting up, just up against it here. So they can't get in the raised bed portions, but they'll be able to come through and scratch all this stuff out. We got a lot of creeping Charlie that's coming in, and some of those things, so they'll take care of all that, which will be really nice. And so we'll detail this as we go along and show the progress. Time to close up the chickens. Oh, a little spooky light. All right, so obviously the sun's gone down, the chickens are on the roost, so we're gonna hop over and close them up real quick so we can move them in the morning. And plug the electric first. You ready? Mm-hmm. Well, we got a little bit of a later start this morning. Evidently, we're still recovering and not fully rested. So after our full day, or full afternoon yesterday, wasn't even a full day yesterday, was it? We had to sleep in a little bit. So chickens are a little grumpy, but other than that, we're good to go. So we're gonna get everything torn down here and get it moved back.
Get out of there, come on.
Already missed it.
Easy.
Up the back.
You're right beside of it. You're on the right side of it. You need to raise it some.
We're not coming out. Okay, with this configuration, it gives them access to about 2/3 of the garden. And we wanted to start with this back corner first. So this is our new cut that obviously didn't do any gardening in, no chickens, just has some basic ground cover that came in last year. But this area here where they are is where we, of course, had good garden stuff going on. Lots of deep wood chips. They're going to turn those. We've got some comfrey in place here in various areas that they can enjoy. Curious to see if they eat all the marigold seeds. They may not. But when the time comes, we can take the lobe of the poultry netting that's that way and swing it around this way and come up against our raised bed so we can get this area all tilled up nicely. I really think this is going to keep us from having to tarp over winter like we did last time to kill out all this ground cover that comes in. And we put our tarps down. Of course, that did a good job, but it's kind of a drag having those out. And with the chickens eating everything and pooping in place. Right. And of course, we've got a lot of composted wood chips that we've been saving down in the main meadow, so we can bring those up during the winter.
How they're they're taking up all the sprouts already.
Yeah, they're finding everything. So as they denude the surface of any of this ground cover, of course there's wood chips here. We'll just keep putting our wood chips in because we've got tons and tons of that. And that'll just that'll keep any of the topsoil from eroding. So one thing that's obviously not going to work over winter is bell waters. Those things work great, but freezing, not so much because they freeze up so fast. So we're going to disable the bell water and put it away. And that's why I didn't glue a lot of my PVC together. I like the ability to bust it apart if I need to. So here on the back of my tank, this is my inlet. So this is the water that comes in. That's the overflow, of course. And this is the connector, the manifold that goes to the bell water. Well, I didn't glue this in, so I can just simply take it off and either leave it or take it inside with the rest of the bell water. Now, as far as the inlet goes, of course, the water's going to come in and just drain out. And even if it freezes, then it'll always have an outlet to come to and not rupture the tank. But I'm going to try something here, see if this is going to work.
What are you gonna do?
Hated to waste that water, but I'm obviously not moving that while it's full. Okay, so since I can't use my rain catchment to fill my tank to use the bell water, the winters we've been having here recently, I think I can get away with rain catchment into the big pickle barrel here. And since it's black, that there may be times it does freeze solid, but this thing's been out in the garden for 2 years now, obviously hasn't ruptured. So do rain catchment. That's why I don't glue. Again, the benefit of not gluing my pipes. I'm just going to disconnect those pieces, swing our gutter catchment over so it dumps into this, and as it rains, of course, fills up the barrel, and then I can scoop water out of the barrel and put into we use the little flexible, we call them the indestructible bowls. We use that, so that's something we can put water into and keeps us from having to carry water too far. So we'll see if we can hook that up. Well, that's a little redneck, but we'll see if that works. Obviously, I could put the barrel right underneath, but then I can't open my nesting boxes. We'll see how this goes. We may have to come back and make a little bit more of an A-frame. Well, okay, so fast forward 6 days, and there's a couple things I've discovered I want to do to just improve this even more. But it's worked out really well. You can see, obviously, late afternoon, getting some good sun here. Even water that froze last night is thawing out because being in the black bowl, having direct sun, so we're good shape there. Make sure I unplug that before I throw my leg over it. That will not be good. But we had a decent rain the other night, and that gave us about a third in the barrel, and I've multiple days have dipped it out already. But you can see what they've been doing with these wood chips. Just been stirring them up and really taking advantage of a lot of the little sprouts in here, and really haven't even focused on the grass yet. They're really just focusing on all those sprouts. So I think this is definitely going to be the place we're going to overwinter. But 2 additions or 2 modifications we're going to make since we're here, and we're going to remain parked for a while. Many of you guys have watched with the build of this how my wooden tongue with my jack on the side has twisted the tongue there. So I'm just going to go cut some basic blocks out of some old logs that I've got on a burn pile and just use those as stands, and we'll block up each end of the front of the trailer here and close the jack up, and over a couple months see if that returns. But I'll get some metal angle iron and we'll probably reinforce that before we start moving it around again in the spring. All right, so the braces are in place there. I'm hoping that'll let my tongue kind of straighten out. If not, then we'll do some other things beginning of spring before we trailer again. One last thing we're going to do, and Kelly's come to help me here, is I'm going to go ahead and wrap the front of the Coop De Ville in 6 mil clear plastic. And I think what that's going to do, obviously, is just help with the wind. If we do get some breezes through here on a cold night, then that'll keep the chickens from getting too chilled. And just be a temporary thing, obviously. Tear it back down in 3 months when we're ready to start rolling again. So Kelly's going to help me staple it in place, and then we'll obviously cut out the areas for the door. We're not going to try to seal this up completely because we do want some air circulation, of course. And obviously they need to be able to get out through the pop doors. All right, so just for morbid curiosity, I've got one of my remote sensors to our weather station. That's an extra one that I keep in the garage. So I'll put it inside the Coop De Ville here and just see what we're getting in this sunlight, of course. All right, so that's pretty makeshift, but I think that's going to work quite well. We added some, just some strips of wood, some furring strips, if you will, just cut-offs from the sawmill and from the table saw, and wrapped it in plastic all the way except for the door. Obviously, I still got to be able to get in the door and do maintenance and that type of thing, and a little bit of air space there. Obviously, they've got venting here, venting coming up under the roof, so it's not like it's completely sealed up. But that should keep it from flapping in the breeze. We got it pulled pretty tight. And of course, they use this pop door to access. So we'll put the temperature sensor in there, and before the sun sets, we'll get a reading, because obviously once the sun goes down, it's not really going to matter. But you know, chickens generate a lot of body heat, so that body heat that they'll generate will help get trapped in here, and a cross breeze won't blow it all away. Well, what do you think, Kel? Is that going to keep them cozy?
Oh, I think so. I hope so.
Yeah. So as we mentioned at the beginning of the video, this wasn't a plan to be a 4-season coop, but the way it's working out and parking it here in the garden to build nutrient and compost over the winter, I think just makes a lot of good sense. You know, all that chicken poop just falls down through the floor and then hanging out. So we think that makes the most sense, and we'll just see how it goes here over the next 3 months.
We also just wanted to say thank you to everyone for the prayers and the well wishes during COVID. It was a pretty rough time, as it has been for many, we understand, but I'm glad it's over and we're all doing really well. So thank you so much. We so appreciate that. Yeah,
it really blew us away. All of you all that reached out, you sent messages, emails, all those things, following up and checking up on us. So I really appreciate all that. It means a lot to us. We appreciate everybody watching. Take care.
Thank you.